Test 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. 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 Test 1, 2.
Can you hear me, Devin?
Yes, we can.
What about
Alrighty.
me?
Yes, Alonzo, and you look like you're driving to the beach or something.
I'm actually not on the beach, not yet.
Yay.
Well,
So this is how you spend your days in your car,
Yes.
driving with the roof down and sunglasses on?
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I wish I had that kind of life, okay?
But I'm on park, so I'm safe.
Do y'all hear me or see me?
We hear you and see you.
Okay, I'm sorry, I was on something else. I've been sitting there for 5 minutes.
You're good. I think it sent a Microsoft Teams meeting as well. Before we have Mayor Jenkins call the meeting to order, we're just waiting on Tracy so we can have a clerk online. And Millie is over in Megan's office. I changed your name for you, but you will have to turn the camera on. Okay, there we go. So we'll just, Mayor, Tracy should be on here in just a moment, so I'll make sure she's set, and if everybody will hang tight. She said her Zoom app started updating. Of course, it always does that at the best time. She and Lori are up in Florence at a clerks conference, so I'm sure she's I'm sure she's lamenting that I told her she had to step out of her session and jump on a call quick. But I'm assuming she'll be on just a moment. All right, Mayor, I've let Tracy in, so you are set to call your meeting to order.
Okay, we're going to call this special call city council meeting to order. At this time, have roll call.
I'll try to do this from memory. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Oh, Sandra Wilkins Brent,
here.
Alonzo Allen,
Here.
Mark Showalter,
Hey, I'm on a call. I'll be right there.
I can see, oh, Mrs. Tackett.
Here.
Mrs. Hambrick,
Present.
Mrs. Conway,
Here.
Mr. Stone.
Here.
I think I got y'all.
Mr. Hampton.
Mr. Hampton, thank you. He's unaccounted for, right?
Correct.
All right. There you go.
Okay, next I need approval of the minutes.
Motion, Mayor.
Second.
Motion is made, and who seconded?
Todd.
Okay, thank you. Motion is made, properly second. Are there further questions or discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say likewise. Motion carried. Next, we have the resolution approving the application for rapid rehousing grant funding. And I'll let Candace and Devin to talk about that.
Yeah, I'll tee it up for Candace. First of all, thank you again, everybody, for taking the time to get on this meeting. This is a really important program, and Candace has only been in her position for a couple months now, and these are the kind of opportunities that our community was missing out on. And I think her leadership already is leading us in a direction that's going to pump some funding into our community and make a real impact. So I'll let her talk about the actual program side of it. I will tell you that the fiscal court, you'll see in your resolution that the matching funds are proposed as a 50-50 share with the fiscal court. They did approve their portion of the matching funds at last night's fiscal court meeting. So there's no question about that. They've already committed to sharing the matching funds with us. So I'll let Candace give a brief explanation of the program, and I'm sure she's glad to answer any questions.
Yes, thank you all for doing this last minute. The rapid rehousing program is something that we've been talking about in our community for years. Something that I even was approaching at my previous position. It's just a large program that has a lot of moving parts. And so the program competition for this program has opened up since I took this position. And it is a great opportunity for our community, one that if we don't apply for this round, it is an annual competition, but the funds, if we didn't apply until next year, would not get into our community until 2025. So it feels like a very timely thing to try and apply for. The Rapid Rehousing Program is a short and medium term assistance program for folks who are unhoused. So the goal of the program is to get people off and out of homelessness as quick as possible, and then providing intensive wraparound services so that way they can then move out of that rapid rehousing programming. And so the difference in this and some other programs that we have in our community and other programs that are out there is that housing is the immediate goal. So we're trying to get people housed as soon as possible, as quickly as possible, and matching that housing first model that the state is really pretty much committed to at this point, and doing no barrier housing. And so getting folks in who can't get housing otherwise because of credit history or criminal history or landlord history, and trying to get them housed, and then going from there and working with them now that their immediate needs have been met. And so we are applying for 10 units within our community, and this will take many community partnerships. So we're envisioning that my office would be housing all of the grant work and all the landlord and unit side of that work. So securing units for this program, working with landlords on all of the ins and outs of making this program work, but then contracting client services out to one of the nonprofits in town. And Transform Scott County has agreed to work with us in this program. So they would be providing case management and all of those resources to be able to move them out of the rapid rehousing program. And so we're really excited about that potential partnership. and everything, that we can be able to give the people that Transform Scott County are already seeing, just give them another resource to get them housed and get them on their feet. So I'm happy to answer any questions that people have about this. It's through the COC program competition. So we apply through KHC, and then they send application to HUD next month. And we wouldn't find out about this until like January or February of next year. And then funding would not be coming to us until like July of next year at the earliest.
Are there any questions? from
I see a
council?
couple hands raised.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Hambrick.
Yeah, Candace, I'm really excited about this. Thank you for bringing this opportunity to the council. Since this is a federal program, I assume that Transform Scott County would need to abide by all of the equity and fairness that federal law requires, and that you would provide oversight as to the people who are admitted or not admitted to the housing program, because we want to make sure that this is an equitable, fair opportunity for all.
Yes, and I've spoken with Rachel about that very candidly, because I have had, we needed to speak about that. And so they are willing to work with anyone and can meet those federal guidelines of not discriminating on who can participate in programming. And she assured me that her board is also committed to this. And they actually work with a national program called Circles. And they also have to commit to this HUD kind of regulation on being able to work with anybody. So we have had that conversation, and they are willing to abide by that.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Candace, if I can.
Yes.
I did speak with a gentleman this past weekend, and I need to talk with you. He's got quite a large number of houses that he's looking at doing that he currently has on the lower side of housing. So when you do get an opportunity, I'd talk to you, and I'll get you his name and number. I'm totally on board with this. I think it's a great program. We just need to, this is a step in the right direction. Just need to keep moving it forward.
Okay. Yeah. Just let me know.
Okay.
Hey, Connie?
Yes, Candace, my question is, as you house them and get them the resources they need, that also means helping them find work. And also in that, is this program monitored like monthly, quarterly, to make sure that they're not going to continue to live there, but to be moved into a different direction, maybe even on their own or without the money at that point?
Yeah, so that's where Transform Scott County's client services would come in. It is recommended that at minimum that clients meet with their case managers at least once a month. Ideally, I know Transform Scott County is going to probably be pushing more for a weekly or bi-weekly check-in on that. And I'm sure as that person progresses in their success plan, that those meetings might become less frequent. But yes, tracking them, trying to help them make sure that by the time their term is up in their rapid rehousing, that they're able to be sustainable on their own. And as far as the working piece, a lot of individuals that we're finding unhoused are employed, which is, part of the problem. But if they are not employed, then for sure, trying to help them secure employment or some means of income, whether that's maybe applying for disability and they haven't been able to do that, anything, along those lines to make it to where they can be sustained on their own.
Well, it sounds like a really great program. So thank you so much for bringing it forward, because I know it's a huge deal to, rapidly help people when they need that. So thank you for that. I'm on board for this. This is great. Good news. Thanks.
All right. Mr. Allen?
Yes, a couple of questions. One, Candace, have you developed a strategy for affordable housing and homeless prevention. I know you've only been on the job a short period of time. So I'm
Yes, in
just
my 1
curious.
month, I have
Yeah.
completely solved this problem.
Yeah, no, I'm not asking that you solved it. Just in terms of, you said with this program, there's a lot of moving parts, and getting, this quick update here, I think we would need a little bit more in depth in terms of what the long-term plan is, the long-term vision, how all the nonprofits are working together, which nonprofits are going to be working together in terms of the strategy to improve the problem. So that's what I'm looking for. How does this all tie together? Something that could be in a PowerPoint, presented maybe to council so we have a deeper understanding of it. And then the second part is, what's the city's match financially?
Yes, so I am working on to answer that question, many things. A housing needs assessment is definitely at the top of my list because I would like to get a big picture of how we can approach the issue of affordable housing. And something that a lot of people in the state are talking about is, in order to help with affordable housing, we have to look at housing on all levels. Because and the metaphor that we keep talking about here at the conference I'm at is the metaphor of musical chairs. So the fact that there are just not enough chairs, there are not enough housing units for everybody is the cause of unaffordable housing. And so I would like to have a housing needs assessment done and get a big picture of where we need to focus our efforts and where we need to insert resources or put in more funding. Unfortunately, this opportunity is presenting itself now. So it feels a little bit like I'm on your page of like, we're jumping into something before we have a big picture plan. But it's just the timing of it. But yes, that is something that I'm working on. And I know in September, I'm due to do a quarterly update for the council. So I'll be able to come and present all that I've been working on and relationships that I've been creating and potential projects that I have on the slate. So I'll be able to do that next month. And then as far as the match, it's 38 and something total. And it's half of that is what the city would be matching. Devin, do you have that number?
I do, and I wanted to tag on the first question. So the city's portion of the match, assuming the county's taking the other portion, is $19,125. The total project will be approximately $153,000 of funding into the community. I said this to a couple council members on the phone when asked about it, and this is a really competitive grant, and I don't want. I think it's worth applying even if we don't get funded this first year, because we've got to get the foot in the door. If you talk to KLC, you talk to any of these local government related entities, their ears perk up really big when they hear what Georgetown Scott County's done in creating this office. And they're looking forward to that strategic plan that Alonzo referred to. They're looking forward to, I foresee Candace being asked to speak at a lot of these events to talk about how we're using this office to improve affordable housing infrastructure, address homelessness, and honestly, connect all those partners in a more meaningful way. So even if we're not funded, I think getting our throwing our hat in the ring is really important, because my understanding too is once you are funded under this program, it's kind of like a club. Once you're funded and you successfully administer those funds, they want to fund you every year. They want that money to go into your community. So I think that's positive. The one point I did want to tag on the plan, we, as part of our interlocal agreement, we require that the director of this office make quarterly reports to both funding bodies. So the legislative bodies, the fiscal court, and the city council will hear from Candace on a quarterly basis. And I think, I don't know exactly when I think that strategic plan, that large scale plan could be in place, but I think you'll see as those quarterly reports come, that's the point she's heading towards. In the September report, you'll see, specifically all the different people she's engaged, the community meetings that she's, I think your September report will actually be right before your first network for homelessness and housing solutions. Is that what you're calling it? Okay, so that's kind of the first meeting with all those partners. So the council, I think council feedback will help shape her steps moving forward. But that first quarterly report, I think, will give you a better idea, council, of how she's going about developing that strategic plan to bring to you in the fiscal court.
Okay, Connie, you have another question?
No, sir, I'm fine. Thank you.
Todd, you have another question?
Yes, sir, I do. How does, Candace, how is this tying in with the housing authority, and are they going to be a partner on this? Because the last time they built something was, I think, somewhere around 1992. And, that would definitely be a shot in their arm as well as ours as well, if we could get them on board and get them to build some more housing as well.
Yeah, so for the rapid rehousing project specifically, I've actually talked to Bryn Jones this morning about her partnering with this specific project. And then we have definitely discussed moving forwards, partnering on how we can make the housing authority an even more effective resource in our community. I don't know if you all heard, but she just recently got voted as the executive director. So I look forward to working with her, and she's very eager to work with our office to further their mission. But as far as the rapid rehousing project, we are hoping that she'll be able to leverage some units and be able to partner with us for rapid rehousing specifically.
Thank you very much.
Millie?
Yes, I've worked with Candace before, and I've always been very impressed with her. She's the hardest working girl I know, and I would like to volunteer my services. Any way I can help you, I would be happy to.
Well, thank you. I
want you to know
appreciate
that, Candace. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, are there any other yes, Ms. Hambrick?
Yeah, clarify for me again, I may have missed it. How long are people allowed to stay in the transitional housing before they are expected to move on?
Yeah, so it's under the short term and medium term is what what this project covers. So I think the short term is like 3 to 6 months, and then the medium term is like 6 to 18 months, something like that. And so under the 24-month mark is what rapid rehousing is trying to shoot for. They also have another program called permanent supportive housing, and that's the long-term assistance, and that is not a part of this program.
Okay. And so once they get released, are they just fully released, even if they don't have a job, or are there still support services that follow them, or is that just outside the purview of all of this?
So the goal is for when they are moved out of the rapid rehousing program is that they have moved into housing that they can afford on their own, and whether that is in the housing authority or income-based or just mainstream housing, that's up to that client and what their situation looks like. I don't envision that there would be a time that they reached that 18-month mark and they were still not ready, that we would just, well, sorry, we made it here. They maybe need to transition into a permanent supportive housing in another community, or I know that HUD is not wanting us to do anything that's not really in favor of that client, especially if they're working a program and making progress. But I think the general goal is to hit that under 18 months.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, Mayor, I have another question.
Okay.
Candace, I believe you said that this program is going to connect with Transform Scott County Circle program. Is that correct?
I think that Rachel would like them to work side by side, but it's not going to be, committed.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm familiar with the Circles program. It's really good. And I guess to address Councilwoman Hambrick's question about that, because I had a similar question in terms to what she was asking. They have a really strong program, and they don't have a lot of members in that program, but they're very, very supportive. They have a lot of resources built around the individual families to make them whole. My other question is, with Isaiah's House and other nonprofits, have you looked at other nonprofits and see what their needs are? I guess that goes back to the strategy. So I'll pull back on that question.
Okay.
So,
in short, yes, I'm talking with lots of other nonprofits. Yes.
Connie, you have a question?
Yes, just one more for Candace. When you were talking about after the 18 months, the middle term, would there, or do you know if there is other grants out there available for longer term that they may need more help?
Yeah, so that permanent supportive housing, that is actually in this grant cycle too. And that in the future, if we wanted to look into applying for that, that's something that I would definitely be interested in talking with you all about. And that is, from my understanding, really focused more on the chronically homeless population, folks who are just probably not going to be able to reach a point where they are able to sustain themselves in a way that a lot of atypical maybe or less chronically homeless individuals are. And so that permanent supportive housing is out there and something that we can definitely look into in the future.
One other thing I do have to ask you that I would like to know is like the other resources that Transform Scott County has and those kinds of things. I know that when people are homeless, I know the majority of them don't want to be homeless, but when are there like education or resources to help them understand to like take care of the properties and that kind of thing as they move forward? Is there lessons in that, like life lessons?
Yeah, so that's one of the incentives really when we're talking with landlords about offering units for rapid rehousing is that they do have case management and wraparound services that come along with having that client in their housing. And so ideally, when we're doing this case management, we're doing it in their home and can talk with them about caring for their home, having a positive landlord relationship. So it's very landlord intensive on that side. We're really trying to create good tenants because we also want them to continue to offer up units to future rapid rehousing clients as well. So we want that whole relationship to be positive.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ms. Hammer, you got another question?
Yeah, sorry for having so many questions, but this is a really important
No, I love it.
service for our community, and I just want to make sure that I understand the benefits of it. So when you said that it was a no barrier admittance, even with convictions, that means that someone who hasn't had their felonies expunged would still be able to apply and receive housing?
Yes, so there is like one limitation on that, and I can send that to you, Willow. But it's because Bryn was asking me about this. Anything that is putting people's safety in jeopardy is still going to keep them from receiving that housing. So like a sex offender cannot move really close to a school. So those type of charges that affect people's safety, those are still put in play. But overall, the no barrier is supposed to be able to allow people who would not normally access housing to receive housing. So yeah, felonies, any criminal charges that normally would maybe cause them to not get housed are not factored in.
And so what about,
you,
do they have continual like drug screening or those kinds of things? Or are
nope,
you
and that's
just
part
admitted
of
and then, you're expected to be a good citizen?
If it's a condition of their parole, I mean, that would be in one bucket, I mean, they would still, the client would still be meeting all the terms of their parole or their release or whatever the situation may be. But in terms of the housing portion of it, like Candace said, the barriers are very low aside from what's required to protect the safety of, that makes perfect sense. I mean, that's a condition that wouldn't, it wouldn't put them out of housing necessarily. It's not going to, it's not going to be too burdensome to overcome.
I think that's exciting because so many people have those barriers that are putting them on the street, and this gives them a second chance. And I think we need to do that for people if possible.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I mean, the housing first is something that you'll hear me talk about a lot, and that's something that a lot of programs, they're moving towards that model and just getting people housed and then working on the other issues that come after that.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
One final question for me. I know I sound like, but in terms of demographics, will you guys be monitoring that and making sure that there's a really good balance there?
I think really it's a kind of I don't know, the first come, first serve, like with our TBRA grant at Elizabeth Village, we just have a running waiting list of people who have applied, and serving them based on their needs. So I'm not sure if that answers your question.
I'll call you later.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, I need a motion to resolution approving the application for rapid rehousing grant funding.
I'll make a motion.
I'll
All right,
second.
motion's made by Councilwoman Brent and second by Councilman Allen.
Councilwoman and Allen.
I said councilwoman. You get your ears cleaned out. So are there any further questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say likewise. Motion carried. If there's no other further business, thank you all for taking your time out to do this. And Candace, thank you. Well done for bringing this to us. And we're looking more great things with this program and others like this.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Candace.
Thank you.